Before wasting your time, we are going to share top 5 best gaming laptop. Number 5 on the list is Lenovo Legion 5 Pro. With this heft comes plenty of space for ports, although most are relegated to the back of the laptop's hinge. The Legion 5 Pro has a single USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port on its left side, plus a 3.5mm combination headphone microphone jack. The laptop's right side has a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A port and a hardware toggle that can turn power for the webcam on and off. The back of the laptop's hinge, meanwhile, is where you'll find the charging port, plus 3 additional USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A ports and a single additional USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port. That Type-C port also supports power delivery, though you'll want to use the power brick when gaming. There's an HDMI 2.1 connection and an RJ45 Ethernet port here as well. The Lenovo Legion 5 Pro has an AMD Ryzen 7 5800H CPU and an RTX 3070 laptop GPU with 8GB of GDDR6 memory and a 140W TGP. With its 16GB of DDR4 to 3200 memory, that puts it roughly on par with the Alienware M15 Ryzen Edition R5, which is the same CPU but has an RTX 3060 GPU. The Razer Blade Pro 17 is also a strong competitor here, thanks to its 10th Gen 45W Intel Core i7 CPU and RTX 3070 GPU. The MSI Stealth 15M is a capable thin competitor here, despite having a 35W 11th Gen Intel Core i7, thanks to its RTX 3060. Generally, the Lenovo Legion 5 Pro tended to sit between second and third place in our gaming tests, usually behind the Razer Blade Pro 17 and alternating placements with the Alienware M15 Ryzen Edition R5. In shadow of the Tomb Raider's built-in benchmark running on its highest settings at 1080p, the Lenovo Legion 5 Pro hit an average of 80 FPS. That's slightly below the Razer's 86 FPS, but slightly above the Alienware's 73 FPS. The MSI lagged well behind at 64 FPS. The Legion 5 Pro didn't perform as well in Far Cry New Dawn's benchmark running at 1080p with ultra settings. Here, its 71 FPS fell well behind the Alienware's 79 FPS and even further behind the Razer's 89 FPS. Even the MSI beat the Legion with an FPS of 77. We also ran the Legion 5 Pro through our usual gaming stress test to check how well it would perform in an extended heavy gaming session. Here, we ran the Metro Exodus 1080p benchmark 15 times in a row using its RTX preset. The Legion averaged 65 FPS throughout this run. Its CPU ran at an average 3.83 GHz, while its GPU hit an average 1.61 GHz. The CPU averaged a temperature of 83.48 degrees Celsius, 182.26 degrees Fahrenheit, during this test, while the GPU was cooler at 75.21 degrees Celsius, 167.38 degrees Fahrenheit, average temperature. Number 4 on the list is Asus ROG Zephyrus G14. The lid is bifurcated in two diagonally. The bottom left half is solid white, with a Republic of Gamers badge that looks purple or blue, depending on the angle you look at it. The top right half is a series of 14,969 holes. I did not count these, I'm taking Asus's word for it. When the laptop is powered on, these reveal the light from 1,449 mini LEDs, creating what Asus calls the Anime Matrix display. You can customize the lighting in the included Armoury Crate software, including the possibility of a virtual pet. While this might be fun for some, I think that the light show is distracting and makes the Zephyrus look like a kid's toy. The deck is clean, white magnesium alloy with white backlighting behind the keys. I'm sure some people will wish there was an RGB option, but I think the white on white looks classy. There's also a particularly large touchpad for a gaming notebook, which I appreciate. After all, a 14-inch notebook is a good size for occasional productivity usage. Asus's ErgoLift display is in full effect here. A small curved section on the back of the lid pushes the keyboard up at a slight angle when you have the notebook open, which is designed for better airflow and more comfortable typing. When we ran Grand Theft Auto V's benchmark at very high settings, the Zephyrus hit 71 FPS 1080p, one frame ahead of the Alienware, and 41 FPS at 1600p. The Razer Blade 14 beat it in both regards, at 93 FPS at 1080p and 59 FPS at 1440p. Far Cry New Dawn's benchmark, Ultra settings, is a bit more CPU heavy. Here, the Zephyrus effectively tied with the Razer Blade 14 with 86 FPS at 1080p and 75 FPS at 1600p. The Alienware, however, reached 94 FPS. The Red Dead Redemption 2 benchmark, medium settings, is still tough on a lot of notebooks. At 1080p, the Zephyrus ran it at 49 FPS, though at 1600p, the game was unplayable at an average of 29 FPS. The Alienware hit 48 FPS, while last year's Blade reached 61 FPS and 43 FPS at 4K, but the all-AMD Zephyrus punched above its weight class on Borderlands 3, Batis preset, averaging 75 FPS at 1080p and 46 FPS at 1600p. The Razer Blade 14 hit 72 FPS at 1080p and 52 FPS at 1440p, which was the next closest, while the Alienware hung back at 54 FPS at FHD resolution. Number 3 on the list is Alienware X17R2. The Alienware X17R2 goes up to an Intel Core i9 to 12900 HK and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 Ti, some of the most powerful parts on the market. In our review, the laptop showed strong performance in both gaming and productivity. Alienware's design, which debuted last year, is lovely. It's still clearly a gaming notebook, but it's futuristic and minimal. That being said, it's a bit larger than some competitors, and at 6.82 pounds, you probably won't want to carry this around too often. If you have a bit of extra cash, we highly recommend the optional $50 Cherry MX mechanical keyboard, which feels excellent, and everyone on our staff who has tried it has enjoyed it. Number 2 on the list is Razer Blade 15. Razer has simplified its Blade 15 lineup, removing the advanced and base models, but what's left is still a very good, thin, stylish gaming notebook. The Blade 15 remains a favorite because it has strong performance, with a Core i7 to 127800H and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 Ti in the model we reviewed, but is just 4.4 pounds and 0.57 inches thick. While you still get a variety of ports, like Thunderbolt 4, both USB Type-C and Type-A, as well as in South Dakota card reader, so there's plenty of expansion for peripherals and extra storage for games. It would even work great for productivity, though we did find some competing gaming laptops were better in non-gaming benchmarks. To get Razer's premium look and feel, you do have to pay a premium. This notebook starts at $2,499, and we reviewed it at $2,999. It's pricey, but it's also maintained a spot among our favorite gaming notebooks for years for a reason. Number 1 on the list is Acer Nitro 5. The Acer Nitro 5 has long been our favorite gaming laptop for those on a tight budget. The latest model we've tested, with an Intel Core i5 to 12500H and NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 Ti, offers decent performance for the price, as long as you're willing to turn down the settings on some games. Acer has given the Nitro 5 a new, more adult design. It's less angular, and with fewer red accents, doesn't scream as much that it's a gaming notebook. We've seen that aesthetic become popular on expensive notebooks. It's nice to see a toned-down design on a gaming laptop that's $899.99. Don't worry, there's still an RGB backlit keyboard for those that are into that sort of thing. There's a bit of room to upgrade inside too. Acer includes a SATA cable in the box for people who want to open the laptop and add a 2.5-inch hard drive or SSD. The RAM, NVMe SSD, and Wi-Fi card are all easily accessible. The big downside for buying on a budget is the amount of bloatware Acer pre-installed on this thing. You may want to spend a bit of time removing some of the extras.